All right, guys, we're back. Throne Bros, Nando, 3 Eye Ravens here. Um, another week, another episode. We are episode 6 into season 2 of House of the Dragon, and so far so good, at least for me. I hope you guys are having as much fun as I am, or intrigue, I guess you could say. But what say you, 3 Eye Raven?
Well, welcome back to all the listeners. Make sure you like, subscribe, comment, share, do the do
Thank.
the the essentials. But yeah, I've been incorrect thinking that most of the action is gonna happen this season, but just found out it's 8 episodes. So
Yeah,
yeah,
so
all the wild shit's probably gonna happen on the last episode, and then next season that's when the finale type shit. But you know
yeah,
it's been a good ride so far.
yeah. It has. So let's get right to it. Um, Episode 6 is called Smallfolk, and we'll see obviously why. These titles have a purpose, obviously. The Smallfolk do kind of have like a theme in this episode, and something a strategic thing happens with the Smallfolk in this episode, obviously. So um let's get started. So our episode 6 starts with the Lannister troops marching up on. I couldn't tell by the sigil, and you could.
So they were at the Golden Tooth,
Okay,
and that is House Lefford.
okay. With
Well, at least at the moment.
at the
I mean,
moment,
yeah, House Lefford.
yeah. We who were they in modern time? Were they even around?
I don't know. That's what I'm saying. Like
Yeah.
right now, the Golden Tooth is commanded by House Lefford. I don't
Where are they? Are
know.
they in the Riverlands as well?
Yeah, it's
Okay, so
it's all Riverland. Yeah,
they're part of the. They're the ones who went with them in the Riverlands, right? I guess with the Greens.
yeah, because
Okay.
they're hosting the Lannisters.
Yeah, so the brother of Sir Tylan uh gets there. He's a cocky one, that guy. You could tell by little, and he's like, talking about we're here, blah blah blah. The first time we see the Lannisters with lions. We didn't see the lions back in the modern time. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I wonder if they fight with them.
I mean, why else would you bring them?
Let
I
them
guess.
loose.
You know what I'm saying? Like, what else would you
Yeah.
bring them? I mean, now that the dragon's around and dragons might be around, you might be careful. The dragon might get hungry and just eat the lion in the middle of the
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah. I mean, but then again, the Lannisters, they've always had money, I guess, so
Yeah.
they might have just spent it.
Maybe Tywin like got tired of the lions. It's like, yeah, it's a lot of shit.
Yeah.
But yeah. So he's talking and stuff. He's like, we're here. Send a you know raven to my brother. Let him know like we're here, and we'll march when we're waiting for Aemon and Vagar. That's what the cock. What's his name? What's Talon's brother's name? They look like twins.
Oh, they are twins.
It might be the same actor, right?
Uh, well,
Be-
actually, I'm
Because
not
I
sure because the uh the Eric and Arik,
they're
they were
actually twins.
twins.
Yeah,
They were
those were
actual
actually twins.
twins.
Yeah,
So I don't know.
if these guys are.
Hold on, give me a second. I got it real quick. So that would be Jason.
Okay. Jason and Talon.
Yeah.
Usually with the names of the T's, they just gave him name Jason. They just got tired. They ran out of T names. They could have called him
Mhm.
Tayson. I don't know. Just
They
say.
could have.
Anyway, he's like, yeah, we're waiting for them. He's like, they're like, at the tooth. They're like, oh yeah, like, what are you gonna do then? It's like, well, waiting for you guys to welcome us. You know what I mean? The keep, whatever, right? Which switches over to Eamon receiving the Raven, right? And he's pissed. He's going off on Sir Tylan. He's like, who the hell does your brother think he is trying to fetch me? Like, you know what I mean? Like, um,
Yeah.
I'm not a dog. I'm the king regent. Like, he can go by himself and get to where he's supposed to go. He doesn't need me. Like, and basically he kind of, I don't know if it's like right away, but he kind of suggests like he'll go when the time is ripe, is the word he used, like not when he's ordered. But I don't know if it was like right away because there's other conversations that he has in this council meeting. There's a lot that goes on in this little council meeting. Um,
Well, I mean, that's the first thing they talk about is
yeah,
the Lannister
yeah.
marching,
So does he
and
say
then
that before he switches over to the next thing that I'm going to bring up? Because he does bring up a treaty.
yeah. So he says that before he moves
Okay.
on to the next
All right.
point, which
Yeah.
is making a truce with the Triarchy.
Yeah. So he basically says like, look, I'll be there when the time is ripe. You know, he's basically insinuating like he wants to fight his uncle. He's a challenge he welcomes. Like he says that out loud too. You know what I mean? Um, he suggests a treaty with the Triarchy, which is basically pirates from the east, right? From Pentos and all those. They're pirates,
Mhm.
right?
Yep.
Yeah. So he's trying to propose a treaty to so they could attack Corliss in the blockade because he's getting tired of the whole blockade that's going on. Obviously, he gets counsel from his mom, Allison, and others on the council. Well, not all others on the council, but that like it's a bad idea because these guys are basically pirates. They can't be trusted. They'll do their job, but then welcome them into our area, and who knows what they can do. You know what I mean? Um, which basically like it's not an argument that's being had, but like I think Laris agreed at first, and then he then agreed with Eamon, right? I think that's what happened there. It was like he agreed at first, and well, he agreed at first with Allison, and then like ended the conversation by agreeing with Eamon about, yeah, we should do it. Like,
Yeah. He kind of switched up.
yeah, you know how he is. Um, then in between this conversation, he basically tells Cole like, "You got to get to Harrenhal. Like, what are you doing here?" You know what I mean? Like, and he's like, Cole kind of suggests like we don't have the armies right now to do it. We kind of got hit hard at Rook's Rest, even though we got a win. Like, you know what I mean? But we took a hit as far as men because Maelys did wipe out some people before her tragic demise. And the most, well, the whole meeting was interesting, but the culmination of the meeting was really interesting, where basically Eamon is questioning what his mom's doing in the council. You know what I mean? Like, what's your title, position? Like, why are you even here? They have a conversation. Basically, he relieves her of her duties, like very sadly, and I think you could see it in Allison's face, like she's starting to like, well, not starting, but I guess it's something she knew about Eamon. You know what I mean? Like that, and she's sad too, obviously, but it's also like a realization, like I mean, like she might be thinking like Eamon's kind of a monster. You know what I mean? Like, and we see it later in the episode, obviously, because there's a couple moments where Allison's very in her thoughts. It looks like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, so yeah, he basically dismisses her, said she should get to more. Basically, he implied basically like womanly duties is kind of what he implied. like, like he didn't use those words, but that's kind of like uh pedestrian duties. I think is what he said. Is like or something like that. It's the actual words. So,
Yeah.
and then she kind of like talked to him like one of the things she said to him was like before like their conversation and it was like, have you not avenged all the things that you felt like happened to you when you were younger already? Like, you know what I mean? Like, so she kind of is telling him like, are you taking this out on me? Like, are you mad at me? Like for whatever, you know, whatever you felt like she did or didn't do when he was a kid. So anything from there that you want to throw in 3 eye that I might have missed or important that we got to look out for?
No, that was everything.
All right. In Dragonstone, we come in Corliss, first one at the table, looking over the table. First time he's there. He's the hand. Remember, we were kind of wondering because he was sitting there very pensive last episode, looking at the badge, if he was going to take it or not. So we learned that he took it. He's there. He's the first one there. Uh, Rhaenyra comes in with the rest of the people. They sit down before she sits down. she kind of gives Corliss a look and sees that he has the badge, and they kind of acknowledge each other, like, like, hey, you know, like, and they get to the first order of business, right? And as we learned last episode of the idea of the Dragon Riders, we get our first candidate, and it is Sir Darkling. Um, as we know, Sir Darkling is part of the Queen's Guard. We saw him before because he went with Rhaenyra when she went to King's Landing when she snuck in, and also in that next episode, also we also learned that he was a member of House Bracklin, which is one of the houses that got taken down by Cole on his little way to Rook's Rest, right? Or was it Rook's Rest, the Bracklin house? Is that what it was?
Oh, it was Rook's Rest was no, no, no. So I'm pretty sure it was before Rook's
Darkling.
Rest. They
Yeah,
took
before.
down
Yeah.
House Darkling.
Oh yeah, that's the one we saw before they went to Rook's Rest, where they asked like, and
Yep.
they did the
Hmm.
beheading. Like, okay,
Yep.
yeah. So we saw him before when he got told about what happened and everything. So Rhaenyra, well, Corliss says bring him in, and he gets brought in, and Rhaenyra tells him basically like, look, we need dragon riders. Uh, and curiously enough, I looked into the histories, and your was it great grandmother or was it just grandmother or
It was a great
mother?
grandmother, I think.
Yeah, his great grandmother was actually a Targaryen, like full blood Targaryen, and he was born nobly. Not he's not a bastard or anything like that. So Rhaenyra basically tells him like, we want you to be the first one, and there's some people in the council who object because Sir Darkland is basically like the head of the Queen's Guard, basically like a good soldier that they have to guard the Queen, and he basically takes it as an honor. And she tells him like, I'm not I'm not obligating you to do this. This is is dangerous. Still, what you do, you have to be prepared to possibly die trying to mount a dragon. You know what I mean? But she tells him like, I'm not forcing you to do this. I'm just letting you know, and you are a candidate. But he kneels to her and says that he'll do it. So, we'll have more on that as the episode goes. Uh, you know, so we shift over to Damon freaking out as always. I'm gonna be honest. I don't know about you, 3 Hour Raven, but there's probably a message behind it. But the Damon freakouts are kind of getting to me. But I know there's a purpose to it. I'm not gonna knock it. You know what I mean? This time he has a vision of Viserys on the throne, and they have words. I don't know. Like, I didn't really like take notes on the words. Was there anything from that interaction that you found interesting or something that Viserys might have said to him or Damon might have said to him in the little?
So basically, he was just visioning the moment where where Viserys confronted him about his son dying. Like after his son dying, how about him going to the brothel and saying "air for a day"? Like that's basically what he was visioning. Like the moment from season one, basically
Okay. Yeah.
when he got exiled from, well, sent away from
Yeah.
Landing.
So then Damon wakes up because there was like some knocking that he followed in his little vision, and then on the other side of the door is Strong. I always forget his name. But then he starts questioning him, like, what are you doing to me? You're playing games with me. Like, why would you mess with me like that? And Strong's like confused, like, what are you talking about? Um, um, what are you know what I mean? Like, I don't know exactly
He's
the word.
questioning his loyalty. That's
Yeah.
what he's questioning.
Damon's freaking out about everything. Uh, then he kind of like, after questioning him, he kind of like, well, not kind of, he does. He does leave like the area, and he goes like outside, right? And he ends up in like, I guess you could say, the courtyard, I guess, or whatever, Harrow, like
So he's walking to the where
Caraxes.
Caraxes
Yeah.
is because he's about to leave, and then he runs into Alice, and she starts talking to him,
Hmm.
and basically he ends up asking for help
Yeah,
from
basically, and
Alice.
then like I think like one of the impactful things that like Alice says to him is like they kind of have like a back and forth. Obviously, besides like when he asks for help, but like they kind of have a back and forth where she basically, which is a key thing, like usually the people who like power is a burden. It's not something that people should want. You know what I mean? Like she basically pointed out like that his brother didn't want it. If like you remember, you know what I'm saying, and that's probably like maybe why like he didn't pick you because he knows you wanted it. Like you know what I mean. And sometimes that's not the best recipe for somebody to who wants power to have the power because you know what I mean. Sometimes the better leaders are people who don't have the power and things like that. And then it ends the conversation ends after he ends up asking for help. The conversation ends and she says, "Give it 3 days." Is exactly what she said. 3 days. I think it was a total of 3 days, and the wind will change. So she's telling him, just give it a couple days. You know what I mean? And we see that again. Um, later. Uh, so that'll come up. But next scene is we get to the attempt. The attempt um in the dragon pits. Is it the other pits? Or the
Yep.
dragon? Okay, in the dragon pits at Dragonstone. They're waking up. I don't know if they were waking up a specific dragon, but sea smoke came out. Right? They were singing. Sea smoke comes out. Uh, Random talk. You might not know this, and might be a stupid conversation that I might bring up a random point. Is Sea Smoke related to Drogon and all those guys?
Well,
I'm just
it's
going
hard
off
to
by
say.
look, I
It's
guess.
hard to say. I mean, social media is going to tell you they look alike, but
Yeah.
uh, we don't really know
They didn't go
who
through
the
dragon
parents are
genetics.
and
Yeah.
whatnot. Like we don't know like the bloodline or whatever.
Yeah.
So it's
I
hard to
mean,
say.
I
A
guess uh
dragon's a dragon.
I guess I fall in line with the internet, I guess, a little bit because I'm trying to compare because like I said last week, I like seeing like these new dragons, how they look. Because they all look kind of different. Not all of them look the same, but if like the internet, I'm like kind of looking at Sea Smoke and I'm like, he looks familiar. You know what I mean? But anyway, um, Sea Smoke comes up and Sir Darkland is there waiting. You could tell he's kind of shitting his pants a little bit. He's kind of saying some words under his breath, like to I don't know, pump him up or maybe a little prayer or something. Um, and he's the Wranglers are there because I didn't know this the whole time, but there was Wranglers for the dragons who work with them, and they're talking to them in Valerian, and basically Sea Smoke comes up, acts a little aggressive. They get they get him to calm down. They tell him to obey, in Valerian, and he acts like he's gonna let Sir Darkling in. You know what I mean? And tricks the guy. You know what I mean? I hate to say it that way. Tricks the guy and just barbecues him. You know what I mean? Which shocks Rhaenyra, sorry. It shocks Jace. So it's kind of a tough time for them right there. You know what I mean? Because not a good start to them finding dragons. Um, Eventually, Sea Smoke runs away. You know what I mean? Not in this scene, but like that's kind of what happens after. But Sea Smoke has been doing that since Lane or Die, right? It was Laner, right? I used to ride him.
Yeah.
So Sea Smoke's been doing whatever and coming in and out and all that.
Well, he didn't die. He went away.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah.
But technically, well, I'm kind of getting ahead of myself, but technically like it's said that dragons they don't like bond with other riders unless their main rider is dead. So,
Oh,
we
okay.
could kind of assume Lenore's dead.
Because supposedly, if you look back at the season when Sea Smoke's been brought up, he's been talked about being uneasy and things like that too. So maybe like he kind of knew, you know what I mean? Like you said, like the bond, he kind of knew something might have happened, or maybe like you said, not to get ahead of herself. and we might not ever know. So, you know what I mean? Next scene after that, we go to Corliss. Corliss is in is Driftmark. Yeah, it's Driftmark, right?
Mhm.
He's at
Yep.
Driftmark and he goes up to Alan, one of his bastard sons, the one that saved him, and he basically tells him like, "I want you to come out with me. I want you to be like the the head of the ship, basically the captain, right?" Is what he
Yeah, yeah, so he
says.
wants him to sail with him.
Yep. Basically, he has some sail with him, and then like he's kind of questioning it, like, is this an order or is this a command, like, or is this a ask? Like, and Corliss is like, look, you got the respect of the whole crew, like you be the perfect person. And like obviously as we know in all season, like Alan still has like some reserve. Alan did save him, but Alan still has the reserve as we know because of what we know that that's his bastard, and it's kind of like at basically the first time they've had a relationship, it seems like, you know what I mean, to an extent. Like the most they've talked is this season compared to before. And we don't know what his age is, so we don't know how long he's been. We know they're old enough, you know what I mean? They're not kids, but you know what I'm saying? But basically, he basically kind of tells him like, I expect to see you tomorrow, um, in time or whatever, and ready to do this. Basically, that's kind of how it ends. Obviously, as this conversation is going on in the far, we have Alan spelled differently. We got Alan and Alan,
Adam.
Adam. Sorry, yeah, Adam and Alan. Adam is looking in. Well, he can't. I don't think he could hear, but he's just watching the interaction, and that'll come up later. Like the follow up to that, obviously in this episode. Next we go to a scene at a bar, I believe it is, or a bar down in King's Landing. Um, we have our guy who was saying at the brothel the one time that he was a bastard of King Jacaerys, right? Jacaerys was, yeah, King Jacaerys. So I think they've shown him enough. I think he's a key part. Could he be one of the dragon riders that kind of shows up? You think? Maybe. Just getting ahead of myself. Maybe.
Maybe.
I mean, there's gonna be a couple, like you said. So he's at the bar. He's, you know, he got ordered something and it wasn't a lot. And basically, it's kind of going to the point of like, there's not a lot of stuff at King's Landing. Um, what is? Am I keep calling it that. What is the town called? I always forget. Like I'm drawing a blank, but I keep calling it King's Landing. What's the town around it called?
Flea bottom?
Fleabot. Yeah, yeah. I guess
I
that's
mean, that's the poor part. I
yeah.
don't know if that's where the scene
That's what
takes
the
place.
whole thing's called. Yeah.
Yeah.
So they're going on. Obviously, we see at another table the 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 lady of the night, I should say, that Eamon spends his time with. You know what I mean? Where he just sits there and talks to her, and she's talking about, I don't know if it's propaganda. She's trying to figure out who's a traitor. I don't know, but she's going off of like they would have never, Viserys would have never done this. Like, or no, he says that to her, and then she kind of implies like, yeah, but his rightful king was denied her seat, and then they're going like, she's basically saying like they're having feast all the time. They're having one tomorrow, like you know what I mean, like because my girls are going up there, and they've had lamb, like you know what I mean, like so he's like, oh, that's not right. So it's kind of like I think this scene goes by the wayside to some people, but this is might mean something later. You know what I mean? And this is where I'm like getting ahead of myself. Maybe they keep showing him. This is like the third time they've shown him or fourth time. With this is actually the second time where he's at an actual scene, but where he has more than just like a quick word, like you know what I mean, like yelling or whatever. But that's what happens there. Um, Anything that I might have missed there because it was kind of like a random conversation, or are we good with
Yeah, it's just random conversation.
all right. So we go back to Dragonstone. Rhaenyra is walking through a hallway getting bitched at by one of her lords, and I forget his name, skinny ass dude, skinny ass
Lord
old guy.
Bartnus.
Yeah. So she got on his nerves so bad she slapped him, right? You know, and she basically told him like, I think you've forgotten to fear me. You know, like I'm your queen, and I'm, you know, like, you know, she kind of like did that in the hallway. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, we switch over to her like in her chambers. She's looking at swords. kind of holds one like once again the I feel like the theme of the season is like people are antsy. They want to do things like Rhaenyra wants to get on a dragon and just blow people up. Like she does have that in her. Like she wants to from time to time, and she's just like holding the sword. Um, and basically, while she's doing that, the White Worm comes in, and they have a talk about basically some plan that they have coming up that they're working on. Right? Nothing.
So first they talk about the attempt with the dragon, and then they talk about the plan.
Yeah. So they hint at a plan that's going on. Nothing has been said about it. No, you know what I mean? So we don't know what it is. They just hint at it. Um, so okay. Yeah. Then we go back after that talk of the plan coming up. We go back to King's Landing. There's a scene where one of the shops at King's Landing closes because they're out of food. Um, uh, so it shows Hugh Hammer's wife is in line and she's like comes away from her line. She's like, I've been waiting hours. Do you have any scraps and anything? So the scene is bad in King's Landing. Um, then because of that, there's a scene in the chambers where it's just Laris, Aemon, and I always forget that Lord's name. That's sitting
Lord
here.
Ironrod.
Iron. Where's he
Well,
from?
that's his nickname. I don't think that's his last name,
Yeah.
but they call him Ironrod.
Okay, Iron Rod. Like a transformer. Ironhide. But yeah, anyway, wrong thing, wrong world. Uh, so they're talking. Laris is basically telling Aemon about, hey, the people are going mad, and Aemon's like, well, why is that on me? I'm not the one doing the blockade. They should be mad at Rhaenyra. Like, you know what I mean? And Laris kind of gives them the wise thing. Well, that's the burden of power. You know what I mean? Like, blah blah blah. You know what I'm saying? Uh, a lot. Laris starts talking as he usually does, very key with his words, and he kind of says like, "Hey, like, your brother had a hand. Maybe you should get a hand, right?" And Eamon, like, well, he says something I think before this where Eamon kind of calls him out and basically is like, or is it at? I get it confused. Basically, Laris suggests a hand, right, and then the way Eamon responds to his suggestion, you can kind of tell that Laris is kind of thinks is him because he's like, I got a job for you. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and basically the way he phrased it, and Laris is like, oh well, you honor me, my lord, or whatever. And he goes like, no, you fool. Like, I want you to send word to Otto Hightower and find him. You know what I mean? Like, and basically kind of calls him out like, I know how you do this. You know what I mean? Like, I know about you. Like, I'm not. So basically, Eamon calls out Laris is like, I know who you are, you fraud. Like, so I'm not falling for your shit. But can you find my grandfather and bring him back because I need him because Eamon's actually smart like his brother. He's like, yeah, I need Otto. So uh yeah, that was kind of funny, like that whole interaction. And then they're not interrupted. I guess they were supposed to all meet, but they're interrupted by the Maester, who comes in and says that Aemon's awake. I mean, Aegon's awake or regained consciousness. You know. So, anything from that meeting that I missed?
That was it.
All right. So next scene, Aemon goes to visit Aegon in his bedside. Aegon obviously in pain, recovering, and Aemon's kind of like getting close to him and tells him like, what do you remember about what happened and all that? Aegon responds, he says nothing, you know what I mean, and then like Aemon kind of like puts his weight on his chest, kind of in his hand, but in Aegon's hand he had put one of the balls from the council meeting balls. You know what I mean? Whatever that means. I guess it's like I don't even know the meaning of that, but that's another episode we could have. But um, he kind of is putting pressure with some of his body and also that ball stone thing into like Aegon's chest, and he's like asked him again, like, "What do you remember?" He's like, "Nothing," and then he like starts telling him like, "You went up against Meleese, you know what I mean, and you lost, you know what I mean." And like, or basically, he called him a fool, kind of like you were a fool for doing that or whatever. And Aegon's kind of like basically saying the whole time, like, I don't know anything, so I don't remember anything. So, kind of like stop, you know? And the Maester kind of interrupts their interaction, so we never know what else could have happened. Um, uh, yeah. So, um, that was mostly the scene, I think. It's kind of aiming, putting the pressure on Aegon to see what he knows. You know what I mean? And you kind of see that like Aegon's kind of afraid of his brother. He kind of always has been, you know. So yeah. The next scene up is we are in the Vale. We see Rhaena with what's it, young Jaehaerys, I think it is.
I think that was Joffrey.
Joffrey, okay. Young Joffrey. They're talking. They're going through the the Vale, little mountains in the Vale, and then they stumbled across some carcasses, some burnt carcasses, which Rhaena doesn't like. Well, she's shocked, and we realize it's like a basically like a dragon had been there, eating some sheep or whatever, burned them, all that. We go. The next scene is them in the room, the kids playing with their toys and their baby dragons that are just sitting there, and the lady of the Vale comes into the room and she basically says like, "Good news, we got word back from Pentos. Uh, you're we heard back and you've been accepted to come, to come over. You know what I mean?" And then Raina's like, "You lied to me. You said that, or you misled me. I think it was the word that she actually used. Like, um, you said that there wasn't any dragons here, and there is one here." And what does the Lady of the Veil actually say? Like, I don't know, like the word she actually uses. Um, to
I mean, she was like, yeah, we do have a dragon, but it's wild, and yeah, I mean, she's basically wants to be protected from it, pretty much.
oh, so that's what she's fearing, the dragon that is by itself, basically. That's why
Yeah, I
she's
mean, it's a
concerned.
wild dragon. That's why.
Yeah, and I think I know who it is. Should we spoil it?
I don't think you know who it is.
Sheep stealer?
Hmm?
Sheep stealer?
Well, we don't know.
We don't know. Could it be Grey Ghost? We don't know. Or the cannibal? We don't know. These dragons are around. That's the crazy part, but we don't see them because they're just wandering around, right? They're just like,
Or they're in the caves.
or yeah, that too. So we don't know who it is. I don't want to put money on it, but I think it's Sheep Stealer. But that's just look, we don't know. Um, so we get a little scene here after this with Adam and Alan talking about the whole interaction with Corliss and what Alan's about to do, being the shipmate. And obviously, as we've seen all season, Adam's been the one that's been more like trying to push his brother, like, yeah, that's our dad. Like, come on, like, kind of get something out of him or something. You know what I mean? Like, what are we doing? And then Alan kind of basically like ends the conversation after, they go back and forth a little bit. And he's like, Corliss would rather do, I forget the actual words he says, than actually call us his sons. So like, I forget, like, I didn't write down the words of my bad guys, but write down the exact words what he said. But I know the end of the line was like, then call us his sons. And that was like kind of the end of that interaction. Nira and Jace have a talk outside, and he's kind of the talk. They're basically going back and forth again about the whole she's antsy, and whatever. And he's like, yeah, like, you know, you're my queen, but you're also my mother. Like, so it's like, it's a thing. Which their talk gets interrupted by the white worm, and she says the plan's in motion, which kind of
Yeah,
Jace is like, or the gif has been sent, I think is the actual word she says, which Jace
yeah,
is like, what gif?
yeah.
That's how the scene ends.
So before we move on, one thing that Jace does say to Rhaenyra is that they need Daemon, and you know she's not happy about that.
Yeah, she's kind of tired of hearing Damon, is what she was like flipping out before the white worm came in. Um, so we see the plan into fruition. We see a boat coming to shore of King's Landing, while one of these fishermen was waiting ashore, and he sees it. We see it, he opens it. There's food in there. There's also a banner, the black Targaryen flag, the original Targaryen flag is on it. And then he looks out to the rest of the sea, and there's more boats. So the plan is very strategic plan. They got food to King's Landing. You know what I mean? It's to sway the people. You got to get the small folk. Remember, small folk, the episode. So again, get the small folk on your side. Um, we get a random scene with Allison sitting with Aegon. Not much happened there. You know what I mean? Like she's kind of like she kind of questions like what I thought he was conscious because he wasn't at the moment she was there. The maester says he comes in and out. He sleeps a lot. Blah blah blah. Like, and she's like, "What is he gonna be once he recovers?" He's like, "Oh, we don't know." Like, it's kind of up in the air. Uh, she also at the end of it asked the maester about the letters to Otto. Obviously, she's trying to get a hold of Otto too, and he's not answering. Um, then she has a moment. Um, she goes to see off. I think she wanted to see off Cole, but she sees her brother, and she talks to her brother. She asks about Otto to her brother, and then she has a moment with her brother where she says, she starts asking about her kid Darren, who's over there at, with them, and he's like he tries to tell them like he's good, like, he's smart, he's kind, like whatever, and then she kind of has a moment where like, oh, like I guess, kind of tells him like I guess going away from court is the way to grow up because like, and that basically implies like she's kind of been feeling a way about like how her kids have turned out, like the ones that are at King's Landing, like Aemon, basically after that interaction with Aemon that was had. Um, Next, she asks Helena to go to church. You know, uh, Helena being weird, whatever. Then the next scene, it's the small folk. We see Hugh Hammer walking through the streets. He comes across a ruckus. People are like, food was brought in and like whatever. It's down there. Like Hugh gets in there, stiff arms a few people, gets himself a nice little bag of some shit, right? And then this puts the small folk in an uproar because obviously this is what Rhaenyra wanted to do as part of the plan. It brings the uproar that the uproar is happening right as Helena and Allison went to church. There is a scene where it gets a little hectic as they're leaving church because the small folk are like getting really close to them and heckling them and like putting them in an uncomfortable position to the point where one of the Kingsguard like cut off an arm, which Allison said like no, like basically don't use your swords. Like she doesn't want that to happen. They finally get to their carriage. Last minute gets closed, and they are able to escape. Um, Next we get the snake himself, Laris, talking to Aegon at his bedside. You know what I mean? Um, Basically
So
he
the one thing that might come in later, but it may not. But Allison had a cut like on her arm that looked pretty bad.
okay.
Uh, we'll see if that comes back into play. But
Yes.
yeah, Aegon wakes up. Laris is in the room.
Yeah,
She tells the nurse lady, yo, don't give him the milk of the puppy.
the milk of the
Yeah,
puppy.
give it to him in an hour, because he just wanted to have a serious talk, I guess, with him, so he
Yeah, and
wasn't like drugged out.
that serious talk was basically him telling him that like watch out for your brother. Your brother's
Hmm.
in charge. Watch out for him.
Yeah.
He's kind of warning him, like, because he's worried himself too, because his brother's basically not sucking up to him
Mhm.
like other people are like. So it basically tells him like your brother's in charge.
Yeah.
Um,
So one thing Laris like basically like tells him like, yo, you all fucked up,
yeah,
but the only thing you pretty much got left is your mind. So you know you just gotta you gotta keep it sharp. You gotta make sure you stay on top of shit because
yeah,
you know Amen.
yeah, for
So
sure.
yeah.
Um, then we go to more Damon visions. He's watching Viserys. Looking, was that as his mom, his wife, his first wife that he was watching on the table, or his son? The one like from
So,
before. This is a continuation of
so I think it was his wife when he lost his
yeah, his first
Emma.
wife.
Emma,
Yeah.
yeah.
So like he's crying. He's like, Damon, like another vision there. He he wakes up from the vision, and Sir Strong is like there, like waking him up as usual, and he comes to tell him the news that Grover Tully has died. Um, and then basically said like, this happened. Our own Alice volunteered to go and help and be courageous, but she couldn't do anything. And then Damon kind of like smiles, and then like he starts crying, or is it laughing?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, it's like a
I'd have
mix
to
because
I
he
had
has
to
like his
rewatch
head
it.
down. Um, but basically, this is what Alice meant by the 3 day. We don't know. We can assume that Alice had something in play there to do with the, why Grover Grover, might have not made it because she, volunteered to go help. But yeah. So that scene ends with that. Um, the obviously that means Damon can convince the little kid who's now in charge that we saw a few episodes ago, to hey, the Tullys, get him over here. You know what I mean? So he's getting his army. So, there was some tears of joy or laughter or joy, I don't know. Something like that. We don't know about Damon. Um, Next scene, Adam is at the shore, around the shore part somewhere in Driftmark, doing a thing, and we see a dragon. It is Sea Smoke, and Sea Smoke is chasing after Adam. It's going after him, which is rare. Dragons don't chase. I mean, they chase to eat, obviously, but he didn't Dracarys somewhere or anything. But he's like kind of toying with him, like chasing him. Obviously, Adam's freaked out. Everybody used to be freaked out by dragons, as they should. Um, and basically, he thought he was in the safe. Sea Smoke comes right in front of him, very calmly, and then scene ends. But in the next scene, we don't know yet, but we can imply because of this next scene where how the this episode ended. Obviously, Rhaenyra and Missaria, right? Is their actual name?
Yeah.
Saria
Yep.
have a talk. They're talking about how everything went with the gift and how everything, was going with that. They get into a conversation about I don't know, the pain and suffer I don't know, struggles or something like overcoming things and things like that. Missaria shares a very deep story about her childhood, I guess you could say, where she overcame this, something that happened really tragic to her. And basically it brings up a moment where they make out, you know. Um, so that gets interrupted by one of her Kingsguard, basically, who says Sea Smoke has been spotted and he has a rider, which we can assume that it's Adam, you know what I mean? Because that's the last person Sea Smoke was seen with. And Rhaenyra leaves the room. She gets on her dragon and goes to find who this is because she has to figure out, which side is this person on.
Yep.
So Sea Smoke does have a rider. We can assume that it's Adam, but we'll see next episode, hopefully. And yes, that that's how this episode ended
Yep.
for everyone. So yeah, I did see the preview, but like we won't talk about it. We won't spoil it. People do see it, but yeah. I mean, Anyway, but yeah, that's how it ends. Rhaenyra is going to find whoever's don't see smoke because she needs people. She needs dragons riders because that's the way. Because she did say it in one of the interactions in this episode. Like she doesn't. Oh, I think it was with Jace, where she was like, "I don't have my own army. I have to get. I don't have people in my army. I have to find armies or do the dragon thing." So yeah. Overall thoughts on the episode as we close out.
It was a good episode.
Yeah, setting up some things.
Uh, you know, it might actually be it might actually be up there with one of the better episodes of the season in terms of like leading
Yeah,
towards like what's gonna happen next. But yeah, the ending is pretty much showing you what's gonna happen next.
yeah.
I'm gonna see those new faces, the new riders and whatnot. I think we get to finish that, and I don't know, because
It's 2 episodes left.
usually
That was a shot.
episode 9 would be like the action episode or the impactful episode, but will it be next week or is the eighth episode the crazy episode?
It seems like it's gonna be the 8, but who knows? Like I didn't
No,
expect to be 8. I was shocked when I saw that.
but
Um,
yeah,
was that I was part of the when I saw the preview. That's when I found out. I saw the preview for next week, and it was like only 2 episodes left, and I did a double
oh
take.
yeah,
And I
yeah.
was like, we're on episode 6.
So we're probably gonna see Otto next episode. Probably he's probably gonna make an
I think.
appearance again.
By the way, that came up, and I wanted to elaborate on that, but I think Otto's been scheming.
Oh
Otto.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Of
He's been
course.
working the channels.
Well, was someone that's gonna make a pop up. I don't know if it's gonna do it this season, maybe last episode, maybe next episode. But Darren, the Allison's son,
Yeah,
he plays a big role in some of the battles coming up.
yeah,
So, uh, once they introduce him, like we'll see more of like Otto and what was going on like behind the scenes, like
yeah.
doing that.
He was scheming. He was scheming. Can't wait to see it. Um, but yeah, like you said, it's interesting to see with 2 episodes left how they're going to do this. Obviously, like you said, usually the second to last episode is the one that lays the hammer, and then the last episode is the aftermath, but kind of like a lead into to what's going to happen, continuation, obviously. So
Well, something big that is gonna happen soon. You know, I don't want to ruin anything, but the triarchy does come into the fold, and some shit that goes down,
yes,
caused by them. So we might see that. That might be the final episode. Honestly,
yeah, we won't get the other thing that
yeah.
I think it's coming too. We might have to wait till next season for that one, but the
Mhm.
one you're talking about, yes, that could be the how it ends. Maybe, but we look forward to it. We look forward to next week, to seeing this week's episode. Obviously, is coming up, as we were recording this, and we release it before the episode. And we look forward to the next episode and the next 2 episodes. But we'll be here, interested. Yeah. So, guys, until next time, catch us next time here on the Throne Bros. Peace.
Peace.